the creaking joints, and a new beginning. The hall mirror usually held no such malice. Perhaps the angle of the sinking sun, highlighting each etched line and drooping contour, was to blame. Or maybe it was simply a long overdue confrontation with reality. Instead of the vibrant woman who devoured novels and crafted elaborate knitwear, she saw only a body succumbing to time's relentless march. Her shoulders bowed a little lower than memory allowed, and the skin on her arms displayed a crinkled texture, prompting a grimace. A sigh, like the wheeze of deflating bellows, escaped her. Stay active, Dr. Davies had prescribed during her last appointment, reciting statistics about bone health and circulatory function. Martha had nodded, envisioning gentle strolls through the park, perhaps some light gardening. But the reflection in the mirror demanded a bolder response. It demanded life, energy, a stand against the inevitable fade. The stiffness wasn't just physical, it permeated her spirit, threatening to solidify into a predictable inertia. That evening, after a solitary meal of poached salmon and asparagus, Martha found herself leaning over her laptop, the screen's cold luminescence illuminating her creased brow. "Adult dance classes near me," she typed. The search engine yielded a deluge of options: introductory ballet, a ballroom dance crash course, high-energy Zumba. Each seemed either overwhelmingly daunting or excessively boisterous. She craved something that would engage not only her muscles but her mind, something with elegance, a spark of ardor. Her eyes snagged on a listing for tango lessons at the local community center. Tango. The word evoked visions of intimate cafes, swirling dresses, and sultry glances. Patently absurd, of course. Martha Ainsworth, retired librarian, more comfortable amongst dusty spines than people, attempting the tango? Yet, the notion clung to her, an ember refusing to extinguish. She clicked the link, examining the details. Beginner's level, Tuesdays at 7 p.m., no partner necessary. A photograph displayed a couple entwined in a dramatic pose, their faces alight with fierce emotion. Martha hesitated. The sheer audacity of it caused a film of perspiration on her palms. What if she stumbled? What if she made a complete spectacle of herself? The prospect of failing, of becoming the ungainly, awkward old woman in the back, filled her with trepidation. But then, the mirror flashed in her memory, that stark, uncompromising image. She shut her eyes, visualizing not the potential humiliation, but the possibility of movement, of rhythm, of resurrecting a forgotten facet of herself. Inhaling deeply, she pressed the "Register Now" button. The website requested her personal information and payment details. As she typed, her fingers trembled almost imperceptibly. A confirmation email chimed in her inbox. "Welcome to Tango for Beginners. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday." Tuesday. Only 72 hours away. Martha closed her laptop, a curious blend of nervousness and anticipation bubbling within her. She moved to the window and observed the deepening twilight. Streetlights flickered to life, casting elongated, animated shadows on the sidewalk. The ache in her joints remained, but now, it was overlaid with a quiet, hopeful resonance. This could be disastrous. Or just maybe a renaissance. Unexpected partner. The fluorescent lights of the community center buzzed, casting a sterile glow on the linoleum floor. Martha adjusted her cardigan, the wool suddenly feeling too warm. Everyone else seemed to know each other, their chatter a low hum punctuated by laughter. She clutched her worn canvas bag, its strap digging into her shoulder. Tango. What had she been thinking? The instructor, a woman with a severe bun and a voice that could cut glass, clapped her hands. "All right, everyone, find a partner. We'll start with the basic 8 count." Panic tightened Martha's chest. She scanned the room, a sea of unfamiliar faces. Most were younger, trimmer, more coordinated. A wave of self-consciousness washed over her. She lingered near the wall, hoping someone equally lost would gravitate toward her. No such luck. The instructor's gaze landed on her. "Martha, dear, are you without a partner?" Martha mumbled a yes, heat rising in her cheeks. "Not to worry. Leandro, come over here." A young man with a mop of dark curls and a wide smile bounded over. He couldn't have been older than 20. He wore jeans and a t-shirt that read, "Support your local bookstore." "Leandro is a student at the university," the instructor announced. "He's been taking tango with us for a while. He'll show you the ropes." "Leandro, Leo," he said to call him, grinned. "It's easier than it looks, I promise. Just follow my lead." His eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled, and Martha found herself relaxing a fraction. He took her hand, his grip surprisingly strong yet gentle. His skin was warm, a stark contrast to her perpetually cold fingers. The instructor demonstrated the basic steps: a slow, deliberate walk, a side step, a cross. Martha stumbled, her feet tangling. "Oops, sorry," she mumbled, mortified. Leo chuckled, a warm, reassuring sound. "No worries. It takes practice. Let's try again. Think of it as a conversation with your feet. You're telling a story." He guided her through the steps again, his hand firm on her back. He was patient, repeating the sequence until she managed a semblance of rhythm. His enthusiasm was infectious. "See? You've got it," he exclaimed, his smile genuine. "Just relax and feel the music." The music. Martha hadn't even noticed it, too focused on not making a fool of herself. Now, she heard the mournful strains of the bandoneon, the rhythmic pulse of the drums. It was melancholic, passionate, and strangely compelling. They practiced for the rest of the hour, Leo patiently correcting her missteps, his encouragement unwavering. He told her about his classes, his dreams of becoming a writer, his grandmother who had taught him to cook. Martha found herself telling him about her days at the library, the quiet joy she found in helping people discover new worlds through books, the ache of loneliness that had settled in since Robert passed. By the end of the class, her feet ached, but a different kind of ache than she was used to. It was a good ache, a feeling of accomplishment, of having moved, of having connected. As they walked off the floor, Leo squeezed her hand gently. "You did great, Martha," he said. "Really great. Will I see you next week?" Martha looked at him, at his youthful face, his kind eyes. A hesitant smile touched her lips. "I think you might." Finding the rhythm. Martha's palm stuck to Leo's like a damp leaf. The bandoneon groaned a lament, and a sympathetic sigh escaped her. "I'm a disaster," she mumbled, tripping over his polished shoes. Again. "Nonsense, Martha! You're overthinking it. Let the music flow." Leo's fingers tightened around hers, a subtle encouragement, not a correction. His smile, a familiar sunrise, warmed her. He smelled of sandalwood, with a hint of something vibrantly alive. She tried to submit to the melody, but her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drum solo. 1-2, quick, slow, a chaotic equation in her mind. Her feet, usually so dependable, seemed intent on rebellion. "Easy for you to say," she muttered. "You're a natural." Leo chuckled, a hearty, genuine sound. "Natural? Hardly. I stumbled plenty at first. The trick is to surrender to it. Let the melody guide you." He steered her gently, his hand a reassuring weight against her spine. "Think of it as a give and take. I pose the question, you answer with your feet. A give and take." That Martha understood. She concentrated on Leo's direction, the subtle pressure of his hand, the almost unnoticeable shift of his weight. He possessed a lithe grace that defied his build, an alluring, almost intimidating confidence. "Okay," she managed, drawing a shaky breath. "Give and take. I can do that." The music surged, a passionate plea from the heart of the tango. Leo initiated the dance, a deliberate, measured step, and Martha, rather than defaulting to panic and anticipation, simply replied. She mirrored his motion, a tentative echo at first, growing bolder with each beat. 1-2, quick, slow. Imperfect, certainly. She still faltered, still missed the occasional downbeat. Yet, something was changing. The knot in her shoulders loosened. Her steps felt less like an obligation, and more like a dance. Leo's smile broadened. See? You're getting it. Stop thinking, simply feel. And she did. She felt the rhythm pulse through her veins, connecting her to Leo, to the music, to something profound. The bandoneon wailed and soared, and her feet responded, step by step, guided by Leo's touch and the music's whisper. They spun, a clumsy but heartfelt twirl, and for a fleeting instant, Martha felt a weightlessness she hadn't known in years. The tempo accelerated, demanding more. She hesitated, her breath catching in her chest. Easy, Martha, easy, Leo murmured, his voice a warm caress near her ear. Just follow my lead. She closed her eyes briefly, placing her trust in him. When she opened them, her feet were moving almost independently. The steps unfolded, not flawlessly, but with a newfound ease, a budding elegance. They were dancing. Truly dancing. A surprised, delighted laugh escaped her lips. This wasn't mere exercise. This wasn't simply filling the void. This was exhilarating. Beyond the dance. The ache in Martha's knees was a persistent reminder of her age, a dull throb that resonated with each forceful step of the tango. But as Leo guided her through the ocho, his hand warm and steady against her back, the pain receded, replaced by a surprising lightness. You're getting it, Martha, Leo said, his breath a warm whisper near her ear. Feel the music, let it move you. After an hour, they paused for a water break, the air thick with the scent of exertion and the faint aroma of rosin from the violinists in the next studio. Martha gratefully sank onto a folding chair, fanning herself with the discarded program. So, Leo began, tilting his water bottle. Besides escaping the library, what brings you to tango? Martha chuckled, the sound a little breathless. Escaping the library? Is that what you think I do all day, plot my great escapes? Well, he grinned, that infectious warmth crinkling the corners of his eyes. Don't librarians dream of adventure, too? Hidden passages behind dusty shelves, secret codes and ancient texts. Perhaps, Martha conceded, a smile playing on her lips. But mostly, I just reshelve and tried to keep the teenagers quiet. And now, I'm trying to keep my joints from seizing up entirely. What about you, Leo? You seem far too young and energetic for a dusty old dance like the tango. He shrugged, taking another swig of water. I like the connection. The way you have to really listen to each other, anticipate the next move. It's like a conversation without words. He paused, his expression turning thoughtful. Besides, it's good practice for my other work. Other work? Martha prompted, intrigued. I'm studying music therapy. He explained, his voice laced with enthusiasm. Using music to help people heal, express themselves, connect. It's amazing, Martha. I work with kids who have autism, veterans with PTSD, people with dementia. Music can unlock things, you know? Memories, emotions, even physical movement. He gestured with his hands, as if trying to physically shape the sound. Martha's heart warmed. It was refreshing to see such genuine passion in someone so young. That's remarkable, Leo. I admire that. She felt a pang of something she hadn't felt in years, a flicker of purpose, perhaps. What about you? Leo asked, turning the tables. What unlocks things for you, Martha? Besides a well-organized bookshelf, of course. Martha considered this. Stories, she said after a moment. Always stories. They transport you, teach you, make you feel less alone. Books have been my companions, my teachers, my escape routes, for as long as I can remember. She thought of her late husband, Arthur, and the countless hours they'd spent reading aloud to each other, sharing the joy of discovering new worlds together. I get that, Leo replied softly. Music is like that for me. It tells stories, too, just in a different language. He leaned forward, his eyes sparkling with an idea. Maybe we could combine them sometime. I could play something, and you could tell a story. Or read something. Just for fun. Martha smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. I'd like that very much, Leo. The ache in her knees seemed a little less insistent now, the dance floor a little less daunting. Perhaps this tango adventure was turning out to be more than just a way to stay active after all. It was a chance to connect, to share, to rediscover the joy of stories, and maybe, just maybe, to unlock something within herself as well. Coffee and confidences. Well, aren't you too cozy? Beatrice sang out, gathering her satchel with a teasing glint. Skipping straight to the slow dances, I see? A flush crept up Martha's neck as she mumbled. Don't be daft, Bea. Leo was just assisting me. Leo, ever the peacemaker, offered a disarming smile. Beatrice, my dear, I'm crushed. I thought our connection was profound. His wink chased away any lingering awkwardness, eliciting light-hearted chuckles from the dwindling class. An unexpected swell of protectiveness bloomed within Martha, a wish to defend him from their friendly barbs, though he hardly seemed to need it. As the classroom emptied, Leo faced Martha, his expression genuinely warm. Coffee? There's a quaint little spot just around the corner. My treat. Martha wavered. She hadn't shared a casual cup, or much of anything, with a gentleman in, well, far too long. I wouldn't want to intrude. Nonsense, Leo countered, already ushering her towards the exit. My treat, remember? Plus, I'm dying to hear more about those daring exploits you alluded to last week. The fragrant breath of freshly ground beans enveloped them as they found a secluded nook in the cafe. Sunlight poured through the window, illuminating a swirling ballet of dust particles. Martha requested a simple black coffee, Leo, an elaborate concoction topped with a dusting of cocoa. So, Leo began, leaning in with palpable interest. Librarian exploits. Unfold the tale. A small chuckle escaped Martha, a sound a little stiff from lack of use. She recounted the saga of a missing first edition, a desperate trek through the Dewey Decimal System, and its eventual, triumphant rediscovery behind a stack of horticultural guides. Leo listened with rapt attention, punctuating the narrative with appreciative murmurs and the occasional, astonished. Wow! His enthusiasm was contagious. Soon, the conversation flowed like a familiar stream. Martha found herself sharing memories long locked away, her late husband, her youthful aspirations to traverse the Silk Road, the silent joy she derived from organizing knowledge. Leo, in turn, divulged his own passions, his ambition to establish a community center for underprivileged youth, his love for capturing light through a lens, his unwavering faith in human kindness. Time seemed to dissolve, measured only by the repeated refills and the shifting sunlight beyond the window panes. Martha felt herself gravitating towards Leo's optimism, his steadfast belief in the potential for joy. He perceived her, truly perceived her, not as a retired librarian burdened by aches and pains, but as a woman brimming with stories, a life yet to be fully lived. She hadn't felt this invigorated, this hopeful, in what felt like eons. As they finally stood to leave, the setting sun painting long, dramatic shadows, Martha experienced a stirring of something unfamiliar. Gratitude? Fondness? Whatever its name, it was undeniably present. Thank you, Leo, she murmured, her voice unusually soft. For the coffee. And for listening, really listening. He gave her hand a gentle squeeze. The pleasure was entirely mine, Martha. We absolutely must do this again. And for the first time in years, Martha discovered herself eagerly anticipating the unfolding possibilities of the future. A daughter's concern. The scent of lavender and lemon verbena hit Sarah as she stepped inside, a familiar comfort after the long drive. Mom? I'm here. Martha appeared from the kitchen, her face flushed with an almost girlish excitement Sarah hadn't seen in years. Sarah. Darling, you're early. Traffic was kind for once. Sarah deposited her overnight bag by the armchair, her gaze lingering on the small pile of sheet music on the piano. What's all this? Oh, just some new hobbies. Martha waved a hand dismissively, but Sarah noticed the glint in her eye. The explanation came soon enough. As Sarah unpacked groceries, music drifted from the living room. Peeking in, she found Martha in Leo's arms, moving with surprising grace to a sultry tango rhythm. Leo, with his dark hair and easy smile, guided her with gentle authority. Sarah watched, a knot forming in her stomach. It was unsettling. Her mother, usually so reserved, was radiating joy, her laughter light and free. When the music ended, Martha turned, her cheeks rosy. "Sarah, this is Leo Morales." "Leo, my daughter, Sarah Ainsworth Davis." Leo offered his hand, his grip firm and warm. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Sarah. Your mother's a natural." Sarah managed a polite smile. "So I see." Later, after Leo had left, promising another lesson next week, Sarah helped Martha clear the dinner table. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken questions. Finally, Sarah plunged in. "Mom, he seems nice." Martha beamed. "He is. He's a wonderful dancer, and a lovely person." Sarah stacked plates with unnecessary force. "Mom, how old is he exactly?" Martha's smile faltered. "Does it matter?" "Of course it matters." "He's practically a child. Aren't you worried about what people will think?" "I'm 72, Sarah. I stopped worrying about what people think a long time ago." Martha's voice was sharper than Sarah had heard in a while, a steeliness honed by years of quiet independence. "But Mom, be reasonable. It seems like a fantasy. He's probably just being nice. It's a dance class, not a dating service." Martha sighed, sinking into her armchair. "Sarah, I'm not an idiot. I know what's realistic, and what isn't. But for the first time in years I feel alive. He makes me laugh, he challenges me, and yes, he makes me feel attractive. Is that so wrong?" Sarah knelt beside her mother, taking her hand. "No, Mom, it's not wrong. I don't want to see you get hurt. And I don't want you to smother me with your concern," Martha said, her voice softening but her gaze unwavering. "I appreciate your worry, darling, but please, trust me to know what I'm doing." She squeezed Sarah's hand. "Just let me enjoy this, okay? Let me have a little tango in my life." Doubt and distance. Sarah's voice echoed in Martha's mind as she stirred her morning tea. "He's using you, Mom." The words, sharp and unsolicited, had burrowed deep. Was Leo really just after a free meal, a comfortable place to land? Martha glanced at the chipped floral teacup, its familiar warmth doing little to soothe the chill that had settled in her bones. The thought of tango class usually filled her with a flutter of anticipation. Today, it felt like a lead weight. She caught her reflection in the darkened window, a network of fine lines around her eyes, the faint tremor in her hand as she raised the cup. Was she really so naive, so easily flattered by a younger man's attention? At the community center, the music throbbed, a rhythmic pulse that usually drew her in. But today, it amplified her self-consciousness. She saw Leo across the room, his face lighting up as he spotted her. She offered a small, tight smile, avoiding direct eye contact. During the warm-up, she felt clumsy, acutely aware of her stiff joints and less than graceful movements. Leo, as usual, was encouraging, his hand gently guiding her waist. But Sarah's words lingered, making her skin prickle. Was his touch genuine, or calculated? She stumbled, misstepping, and felt a flush creep up her neck. "Easy, Martha," Leo said, his voice soft with concern. "It's just a warm-up. No pressure." She mumbled an apology, her gaze fixed on the worn wooden floor. The vibrant energy that usually flowed between them felt strained, replaced by an awkward tension. As they moved into the basic tango steps, Martha felt disconnected, her feet heavy, her mind racing. Each dip and turn felt clumsy, each touch amplified by her newfound doubt. She imagined the other dancers watching, whispering, judging the older woman clinging to the younger man. After class, Leo walked her to her car, his usual cheerful chatter subdued. "Everything all right, Martha? You seemed a little distant today." She busied herself with her keys, avoiding his gaze. "Just tired, Leo. Didn't sleep well." It was a pathetic excuse, but it was the best she could muster. He studied her face, his expression thoughtful. "Well, get some rest. We can practice later in the week if you feel up to it." Maybe, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. She unlocked the car door and slid inside, the familiar scent of old leather and lemon air freshener doing little to comfort her. As she drove home, the setting sun casting long, distorted shadows across the road, she replayed the dance class in her mind. Each touch, each smile, each encouraging word now tainted with suspicion. Sarah's doubt had taken root, poisoning the simple joy she had found in the tango and in Leo's company. The vibrant music that once filled her with life now felt like a mocking reminder of her own aging body and her vulnerability. Honest hearts. Leo registered the shift instantly. The set of Martha's shoulders, a subtle droop as she arranged the china, lacked their usual buoyant grace. Her floral dress, normally a joyous proclamation of spring, seemed to droop with her. "Everything all right?" he inquired, leaning a hip against the counter. "You seem uncharacteristically subdued." Martha fussed with the sugar bowl, her fingers betraying a slight tremor. "Oh, Leandro, it's likely nothing. Just a passing cloud." Leo remained unconvinced. Stepping forward, he gently enfolded her hand in his, offering a silent reassurance. "You know you can confide in me, Martha. Anything." A sigh escaped her, heavy with resignation. "It's Sarah," she confessed at last. "She visited yesterday." Leo waited, sensing her struggle. He understood the weight of her daughter's judgments. She expressed concerns. Martha continued, her voice a mere breath. "About the tango, about us. She deems it inappropriate." Leo's brows lifted. "Inappropriate? Because of dance lessons? Because you enjoy my company?" Martha twisted her hands. "She used the word vulnerable, Leandro. Implied you might be taking advantage. That I'm naive." A flicker of anger sparked within him, quickly suppressed. A daughter's protectiveness, however misdirected, was understandable. "And do you believe that's true?" he asked softly. Martha met his gaze, her eyes a complex tapestry of apprehension and, he hoped, trust. "No, Leandro. I don't." But Sarah's words burrowed in. "I'm not as young as I once was. What if I'm a figure of ridicule? Tango at this age, a younger man's attention, are people whispering?" He cradled her face, his thumbs gently tracing the lines around her eyes. "Martha Ainsworth, you possess a spirit that could outshine the sun. If anyone dares to laugh, it's born of envy for your vitality, your appetite for life. Don't allow anyone, even your own daughter, to extinguish that fire." He paused, seeking her soul in her eyes. "But above all, what do you feel? Does it bring you joy? Are you happy?" Martha's lip trembled. "Yes," she breathed, barely audible. "Yes, Leandro, I am. I haven't felt so invigorated in years." "Then that is the only truth that matters," he declared, drawing her into a comforting embrace. "Authentic hearts, Martha. That's the compass to follow." He held her, feeling the tension slowly dissipate. He knew Sarah's doubts wouldn't vanish instantly, but he hoped he'd planted a different seed, one of unwavering confidence, of self-acceptance, and the bravery to chart her own course. A tango of friendship. Martha stared at her hands, the skin loose and papery compared to Leo's smooth, strong ones. "It's just. I'm being ridiculous. You're so young, Leo. I'm old enough to be your, well, you know." Leo knelt beside her chair, taking one of her hands in his. His touch was warm, reassuring. "Martha, look at me." He waited until her gaze met his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Age is just a number. A completely arbitrary one at that. What matters is what's in here." He tapped his chest. "And in here." He pointed to her head. "And I see someone vibrant, someone funny, someone who tells the best stories I've ever heard. Someone who can almost out-tango me." He winked. Martha managed a watery smile. "You're just saying that." "Maybe a little," he conceded, squeezing her hand gently. "But the rest is true. Don't let some silly number dictate who you are or who you can be friends with. I genuinely enjoy spending time with you, Martha. You make me laugh, you challenge me, and you make me feel seen. His words resonated deep within her. She hadn't felt truly seen in years, not since Arthur. This wasn't a romantic connection, she knew that, but it was something equally precious, equally rare. It was a genuine friendship, untainted by expectations or societal pressures. Why was she letting fear and self-doubt rob her of this joy? She looked around the bustling dance studio, the music a distant thrum against the backdrop of chatter and laughter. Everyone was here for their own reasons, their own stories, their own connections. And hers, with Leo, was just as valid, just as important. A wave of defiance washed over her, chasing away the lingering shadows of insecurity. She was tired of playing it safe, tired of living her life according to other people's rules. She deserved to be happy. "You're right," she said, her voice stronger now. "I am being ridiculous. Thank you, Leo." He grinned, his entire face lighting up. "So, what do you say? One more tango before we call it a night?" He extended his hand. Martha took it, her grip firm. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver of anticipation through her. She rose from the chair, feeling lighter than she had in years. "Just try to keep up, young man," she teased, a genuine smile finally gracing her lips. They walked back onto the dance floor, the music pulling them into its embrace. This time, there was no hesitation, no self-consciousness. They moved together with a newfound freedom, their steps synchronized, their laughter echoing through the room. The tango was a conversation, a push and pull, a story told through movement. And tonight, their story was one of friendship, acceptance, and the joy of living in the moment. Martha felt alive, vibrant, and utterly, gloriously happy. The wrinkles on her face seemed to soften, the years melting away with each step. She wasn't just Martha Ainsworth, retired librarian, she was Martha, the tango dancer, the friend, the woman who dared to defy expectations and embrace the unexpected. As the music swelled to a crescendo, Leo dipped her low, his eyes sparkling with delight. Martha met his gaze, her own shining with newfound confidence. In that moment, surrounded by the rhythm and the energy of the tango, she knew that their connection was something special, something worth cherishing, regardless of age or circumstance.